The site of all that carnage is set to reopen. Bourbon Street, we are being told, according to the New Orleans Police Department superintendent, is set to reopen in just a few minutes. We want to go live out there right now. We have crews that are on the scene. Leah McNeil right in front of Bourbon Street on Canal Street. Leah, I thought we were set to open maybe about 2:30, 3 o'clock, just right before the Sugar Bowl was set to play.
Well, Cherise, they are very much ahead of schedule. Bourbon Street has actually just reopened. We actually saw quite a crowd of people waiting on the sides for that crime scene tape to be removed. And now you see some of the first crowds of people making their way onto Bourbon Street a little over 24 hours since that horrific terror attack that killed 14 people, 15 if you include the suspect, and also injured over 30 more people. As you can still see, we have a very heavy law enforcement presence here on scene, including Homeland Security, state troopers, the NOPD, and also a huge search and rescue unit from the Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office. It's acting as an extra barrier at the foot of Bourbon and Canal. Superintendent Ann Kirkpatrick did tell us earlier when we spoke to her after a briefing, she did say that this will continue to be in place throughout the Sugar Bowl, but they've also gone ahead and added additional barriers along Bourbon Street on the sidewalks to make sure that they are have that extra sense of security for people who are continuing to flow onto Bourbon Street right now as it has since reopened. So still seeing a lot of people making their way onto Bourbon. I mean, Cherise, people were waiting on the sidewalks behind the caution tape, waiting for this moment. As again, I mentioned, it is ahead of schedule. Before they did reopen Bourbon Street, several different members of law enforcement, Sheriff Joe LaPinto was on scene, of course, Superintendent Ann Kirkpatrick, other leaders within the NOPD, as well as Mayor Latoya Cantrell was all here. They held a prayer circle right in front of this JPSO unit and laid 14 yellow roses for each one of those victims who passed away during this horrific attack. And then, of course, in true New Orleans fashion, they proceeded down with a second line down the street, just returning the music, returning the spirit down on Bourbon Street. Some of the international media that came here, they were asking questions, you know, how do you do this? How do you play music? How do you come back on the street celebrating? And that's just what we do here. We acknowledge the dead, we honor our dead, and of course by playing music, by keeping that spirit and that heart of who we are alive. As we all know that this was an intentional attack, again according to police, this was planned out by this suspect who drove from Houston, Texas down here to New Orleans to carry out this attack, ultimately killing again 14 people here in our city and injuring 30 others.